Hi, how are you doing? This is IBM-i By Doing. Welcome to IBM-i By Doing, a series of video sessions in which we do hands-on projects programming the IBM-i Midrange computer. I'm Madhu Vasudevan with over 20 years of IBM-i work experience at your service. The target audience is newbie programmers who want to learn RPG-4 or RPG ILE on IBM-i. We will mount our RPG bikes right on top of the Subfile hill and slide down the valley of data file processing in RPG-4 ILE. Just follow along. Working along with me, you will be able to do this. Early in this series, we will tackle the fabled RPG subfile, and we will create every possible variation of the subfile. We will create physical files, logical files, display files, printer files, and of course the RPG ILE programs to handle all these files. We will create some information display screens, some data entry screens, and generate some reports. Our subfile inquiry program will allow muggles to look up multiple train records in one screen. The search screen will accept a center name as input. After entering a center name, the muggle will press the enter key. Our program will pull up one page full of records of trains going to that center. If the muggle hits the enter key without inputting a center name, our program will pull up one page full of records of trains going to any and all the centers sorted alphabetically. If the plus sign is shown at the bottom and the muggle hits page down key, our program will pull up one more page of train records. This process can be continued until all requested data records have been loaded to subfile pages. After the last requested record has been loaded to the subfile, the plus sign will not show at the bottom of the last page. If user presses page down key when there is no plus sign shown, error message is shown and keyboard is locked. Finally, F3 may be pressed to quit the inquiry program and end the inquiry session. The city-wise trains information may be viewed by directly querying the physical file. We will run the query command on the physical file train set with the record select parameter set to view the records for specific centers. We will thus verify that our inquiry subfile is indeed working correctly. To keep me motivated to produce more of better quality free content, please subscribe to this channel. Hit the like button below, leave a comment or two, and share this video with your colleagues, friends, and other IBM-i enthusiasts. Hit the bell icon below to actively follow along with the rest of our series. Having created a display file with a subfile for inquiring on the train's information, let's create an inquiry load page on demand subfile program. We will key in the RPG-4 program in the modern free format using a more modern editor than SEU. Minimize the IBM-i client emulator window. We will use Visual Studio Code to write and compile our RPG-4 subfile program. Again, Visual Studio Code is a freely downloadable application. The link to download Visual Studio Code is in this video's description. In your desktop or laptop, download and install Visual Studio Code. Launch Visual Studio Code. In the left bar, click on the IBM-i icon. In the left panel, under IBM-i servers, the PUB400 server should be listed. If you don't see it, review our data entry subfile program video. A link to our RPG-4 playlist is available in this video's description. Click on the PUB400 server. In the bottom right, view the message connected to pub400.com and close the pop-up. In the left panel, under User Library List, ensure that your project library is on the very top. If the current library shown is not your project library, click on the Change Current Library icon. and key in your project library name and hit enter. In the left pane, under Object Browser, click on the arrow next to the filter to expand it. Under QRPGLE SRC, you can see your program source code members. To the right of QRPGLE SRC, click on the Create Member icon. In the pop-up window on top, key in your Load Page On Demand Inquiry Subfile program name, trainsfl2.rpgle, where RPGLE is the source member type, and hit enter. In the bottom right, open the pop-up message. Note the creation of source member trainsfl2 in source physical file QRPGLE SRC in your project library. Close the pop-up window. Source member trainsfl2 is open in Visual Studio Editor window. There are no column restrictions while coding in free format RPG4. In the very first row, first column, you could key in **free and hit enter. Now you can code in any row, any column you want. However, to be able to view the code without error highlighting in the green screen SEU, especially the C-spec or calculation lines, we will keep all code between columns 8 through 80. Note the cursor's line and column number displayed in Visual Studio Code bottom frame. Delete the **free line. In the very first line, tab over to column 7 and key in the compiler directive /free. Hit enter. To move cursor down to line 20, column 7, and key in the enclosing compiler directive /end-free. Let's start keying in the header spec, now called control options. Move cursor to line number 2, column number 8. Key in the first optional control option, copyright, within bracket IBM-i By Doing, 2022, close quote, close bracket, semicolon to end the line, and hit enter. Key in the next optional control option, text, within bracket, within quote, trains inquiry, load page on demand, within bracket, SFL size greater than SFL page, semicolon. Next control option, date format, within bracket *USA. We are setting the default date format for our program to that of the USA model, which is month/day/4-digit year. Leave a blank line and start keying in the file declarations or the F-spec. DCL-F, transit L, keyed, semicolon. That is all that is required to declare the logical file transit L as an externally described disk file used for input. But we can be more specific and fill in the defaults. So we can key in the default keywords disk file within bracket *ext for external and usage within bracket the default usage *input. End the line with a semicolon. Next declare the workstation or display file trainQ2, which is an externally described workstation file. Usage input and output is assumed or the default, but key in the subfile keyword sfile within bracket subfile record format name sfltran : the subfile active record number field rrn, close bracket and hit enter. To continue the file declaration in the next line, note that we have not yet keyed in the statement delimiter semicolon. Tab over to indent, key in the keyword indds for indicator data structure within bracket name of the indicator data structure indicators semicolon. Next we can declare and define the indicator data structure indicators for our display file with a declare ds declaration. The ds declaration needs an end ds declaration. Key in the comment response indicators, an indicator named F3 exit, a field of type indicator at position 3 semicolon. Next up, F12 exit indicator at position 12. Next line, key in the comment conditioning indicators. First conditioning indicator is the SFL clear indicator which as per our display file has been assigned indicator number 50, define the SFL DSP indicator at position 51. Next up, the page down indicator at position 52. We had assigned indicator 55 to the keyword SFL end in our display file, and accordingly we will assign indicator number 55 for SFL end, and finally assign indicator for the validation flag end of indicator's data structure. Next, declare the constants and variables that you may need for this program. Let's declare a constant called RECs_IN_PAGE and assign it the value 15 for number of records in our subfile page. Let's define a standalone variable called new max recs of type integer size 5. The default 0 decimal places need not be keyed in. Press Ctrl S to save the code so far. Note that the circle became a cross here on top, indicating that all the source member has been saved. Press page up and let's start keying in the CSpec or calculation lines. Let's key in the main program logic. Begin with a comment, load additional page on demand, start a do while loop, do while not, F3 key pressed. This do while needs an end do and every line needs to be delimited with a semicolon. Within the do while loop, indented, X format or write and then read the initial inquiry record format CNTR-INQ. If F3 key not pressed, this if needs an end if. Indented within the if, execute subroutine, check center. This is a subroutine we are yet to code, in which we will check what the user has input for center name. If user keyed in a valid center name, we check if indicator center not found is true. This if needs an end if. If a valid center name was keyed in or a blank center name was keyed in, which is also considered valid, we first clear the subfile, so execute subroutine clear subfile, and then we load the subfile, the single page subfile. Let's add in the comment that we load only one page of the subfile at this point. Then we write the footer record format, and then we X format the control subfile record format. We write and then read from the screen the control subfile record format CTL-tran. Next, start the do while loop to be performed as long as user presses the page down key. This do while needs an end do. Let's insert a comment after the do while loop begins that this is where additional page is demanded by the user by pressing the page down key, and every time the page down key is pressed, we execute the subroutine to load subfile, in which we load one additional page every time and show it to the user. X format the control record formats CTL-tran. That is all there is to our main logic. So we have keyed in our main program logic, and we only need to key in the subroutines. Set on the last record indicator *INLR and return semicolon. Let us key in the subroutine check center first. Begin with a comment, a long line of stars. Duplicate the line of stars, and in between key in the comment, check the center requested and position database cursor. Column 8, key in, begin subroutine, check center, semicolon. This begin subroutine needs an end subroutine, semicolon. Add a comment which tells us which subroutine is ending in this line. If center no, the field name for center name is blank. This if needs an end if. If no center name is provided by the user, we just start at the beginning of the database file. If there are no records in the logical file, built-in function %EOF, the if needs an end if. Turn on the validation flag center not found if there are no records in our database file. Insert an else clause for if center no equals blank. Search for the center name input by the user using the setll opcode in the transsetl logical file. If the center name input by the user was not found, built-in function %equal checks if an exact match was found for the center name input by the user. If not found, the if needs an end if. set on the center not found validation flag. That's all for check center subroutine. So we are considering both possibilities. Either the user inputs a center name or the user leaves it blank, and we set on the center not found validation flag accordingly. Ctrl S to save this subroutine. Let's code the clear subfile subroutine next. Highlight and copy the first 4 lines from the previous subroutine. Press page down. Copy it below the previous subroutine. Highlight and copy the last 2 lines from the previous subroutine. Paste it below. Change the subroutine name to clear subfile. Highlight and copy the subroutine name. In the comment in the end subroutine line, highlight and paste the new subroutine name. Highlight the comment, key in the new comment, clear subfile and set RRN to 0, where RRN is the active subfile record number. Within clear subfile subroutine, indent and key in, set off the subfile display indicator, set on the subfile clear indicator, write the subfile control record format, CTL tran. Having cleared the subfile, set off the SFL clear indicator, set the subfile's active record number to 0, and set off SFL end indicator. That's all we do in clear subfile subroutine. Press Ctrl S to save the clear subfile subroutine. Next, let us code the important subroutine load subfile, in which we load just one single page of subfile records from the database file. Highlight and copy the first 4 lines from the previous subroutine. Paste it below. Highlight and copy the last 2 lines from the previous subroutine. Paste it below. Highlight the subroutine name. Key in the new subroutine name. Load subfile. Highlight and copy the new subroutine name. Paste it as a comment in the end subroutine line so that we know which subroutine ends in this line. Highlight the comment for the subroutine and key in the new comment. Load one page of subfile records on demand. Indented within the subroutine, key in the first eval statement. Variable new max recs is assigned the active subfile record number plus the recs in page constant. Next, start a do until loop. Do until either SFL end or the new active subfile record number equals new max recs. Key in a comment. The condition for the do until loop gets evaluated only at its end do. Enter. This do until needs an end do. Within the do until loop, execute the subroutine read forward, which is a new subroutine we need to code, in which we just read the next single record from the data file. Check for end of file right away. If not, built-in function %end of file of logical file transetl. The if needs an endif. Indented within the if, increment the active subfile record number and write the subfile record format SFL tran. After the endif, within the do until loop, set the SFL end indicator as either the end of file of transetl or RRN equals the maximum subfile record numbers allowed, 9999. Finally, within the load subfile subroutine, after the do until loop, set the subfile display indicator depending on if there are any records in the subfile. If RRN is greater than 0, then set on the subfile display indicator. If not, set off the subfile display indicator, meaning there are no subfile records to show on the screen. That's all there is to load subfile subroutine. Press Ctrl S to save the subroutine. Next, let us code the last remaining subroutine, read forward. Same formula. Highlight and copy the first 4 lines. Paste it below. Highlight and copy the last 2 lines from the previous subroutine. Paste it below. Highlight the subroutine name and change it to read forward. Copy the new subroutine name and paste it in the end subroutine line comment so we know which subroutine ends in this line. Next, highlight the subroutine comment and key in the new comment. Read the next record from the database file. Within the read forward subroutine, indented, key in the first statement. If center no equals star blank. If needs an endif. If a center name is not input by the user, Just read the next record from the transcendental logical file. Insert an else clause for this if statement. If a center name was input by the user, then do a read equal with the center name input by the user into the logical file transcendental. That's all there is to read forward. Press Ctrl S to save the subroutine read forward, and we have completed coding the program. Review the code for any missing semicolons or other obvious syntax errors. Review the main logic of our program. Review the check center subroutine. Let's make center no in camel case and press Ctrl S to save it. Let's review clear subfile subroutine. Let's review load subfile subroutine. I need to point out here, when user has pressed page down and we do our first pass through this do until, we are doing a read forward blindly without checking for end of file. But we know that if there is end of file already reached, user cannot press page down key because that has been conditioned in our display file by the N50 line for end of subfile. Let me show you the display file. Train Q2 again. Note the highlighted line in which the page down key is conditioned by the N55, meaning the subfile end needs to be off. Only then user is allowed to press page down key. Hence we can be sure that this read forward will never be executed if SFL end has already been set on. And finally, let us review read forward subroutine. Delete the blank lines below, press Ctrl S, and we have completed coding the program train SFL2. Page up and press Ctrl E to bring up the executables pop-up. Choose command create bound RPG to compile the code. You should get a successful compilation message. Expand the message and note that create bound program created the program train SFL2 in your project library. Close the pop-up. If you have errors, you can look at the compiler listing from within Visual Studio Code. This option has been shown in our data entry subfile program hands-on video. The link to our RPG hands-on playlist is in this video's description. You can look at the compiler output by clicking on the Output button in the baseline of Visual Studio Code. Scroll through the compiler listing. Note that in the very bottom, number of errors is 0 and your compilation was successful. Having noted the successful compilation message, you can close this output. Close the member edit window, train SFL2. From the main menu, click on File and Exit to close Visual Studio Code. Having created a display file with a subfile for inquiring on the train's information, let's create an inquiry load page on demand subfile program. To keep me motivated to produce more of better quality free content, please subscribe to this channel. Hit the like button below, leave a comment or two, and share this video with your colleagues, friends, and other IBMi enthusiasts. Hit the bell icon below to actively follow along with the rest of our series.